Lately, I've been thinking a lot about caravans in the world of Fallout. They've been a thing in the universe since the very first game. They're an integral part of the lore and just the world building, and inside of 76 we actually get to run a caravan company and go along as a guard. That is something which should be incredibly cool and so thematic. Unfortunately, it kinda sucks. Now, I'm not going to bury the lead too much here. The biggest problem, which I think everyone agrees with, is that the rewards for completing a caravan are just kind of bad. You get a couple of stim packs, a little bit of ammo, and some improved fishing bait. That's it. That's what you get when you complete a caravan, and it's not much. Considering this is technically a public event, it's just very little every time. We need some better rewards, and I guess Bethesda did it this way because they didn't want us spamming them non-stop and just getting crazy good rewards, but I think we can all agree that's not enough. Most builds will spend more ammo than they get back, and potentially spend more stim packs. Probably not spend more improved fishing bait, that would be wild if you're fishing in the middle of a caravan, but overall it costs you way more to run a caravan than it does when you get back. Just doesn't make sense. There is obviously one reward I neglected to mention there though, and that's supplies. And supplies are what you spend to improve Milepost Zero, the actual location, hire new NPCs, get better upgrades for your caravan, all that stuff. And supplies have never made sense to me. It's, you run the company, you're guarding the caravan, and what you get paid with are supplies, the thing that you're delivering, when you should be getting caps, because that's the currency. That's never made sense to me. It's like if you worked at McDonald's, but they only paid you in Big Macs. That's no help. My landlord does not accept these as legal tender. I'm going to be evicted. It feels the wrong way around. It would make way more sense if you could spend supplies to run the caravan and then get caps back. But instead you have to pay caps to get a caravan started, and then you get supplies out of it. That needs to be flipped. And honestly, I think the supply system needs just a complete overhaul. Because the problem is, it creates a closed loop. Supplies aren't earned anywhere else. So what you have to do is run caravans to earn supplies so that you can upgrade and run better caravans, which just give you supplies back. If instead it was caps that it took to upgrade everything at Milepost Zero, then you'd earn passively through doing other stuff like events, quests, just adventuring around in the game. And then you can return to the caravans and be like, hey, I've made a ton of money, I'm going to invest it into this company that I'm working for. That would make a lot more sense than the current system. And if you did it that way, you could still keep supplies, but have them be spent to run a caravan rather than caps. You literally just flip the two currencies in this way. And once you've spent 100 supplies on a big convoy to get to somewhere, if you make it to the location successfully, maybe you get a percentage of them back. That's being like, oh yeah, you got all of them here, we didn't sell off everything, so you earned a little bit of the supplies back. Otherwise, you could earn them passively through the NPCs that show up to work at your caravan company, or by bringing junk and valuables to the characters at Milepost Zero. There's a lot of interesting ways that you could have supplies be earned rather than earning them just by doing the caravan, which has never made sense to me. Now, I've mentioned Milepost Zero a couple of times, which is not only the name of the update which added caravans, but it also the location where the caravan company is situated. This is an instance area and your main base of operations, and it's kind of boring and sucks. It's just not at all interesting. It's a dingy little tunnel with terrible lighting, which is just not appealing to visit. Even once you start hiring NPCs and get talking to them, you basically just have one set of conversations, done, and then if you really grind caravans for a while, you can unlock a couple of quests from them. There's not much to go on. We do already have a decorator NPC who you can hire for your caravan company, and they should be making the place look a bit more lively and attractive to people, because it shouldn't just be you showing up there. Once you start building up your caravan company and getting a bit more fame and renown and really are bringing in good contracts and stuff, there should be other NPCs, just passive ones, showing up. You should see responders who need medical supplies sent from one location to another. There should maybe raiders who are looking to scope out where good caravan routes are and they're being shooed out the place. There should be a whole bunch of people there who are just going about their daily lives, and because you've become a reputable company, they should be interested in showing up and doing business with you in some way. But we don't see that. We get a dark, dingy tunnel, which even once you get a few extra NPCs in, really doesn't become very lively at all. The fact we've got the decorator in there, and they can, like, upgrade things a little bit if you've got the supplies, once again having to spend supplies on it, it's a good idea, and clearly the people working on this knew that was something we'd want to do. But I've taken a look through what all the different upgrades you get look like, and they're all still fairly dark and dingy. Like, it never really livens the place up. Another thing they threw in was Josie, the NPC who looks after the Brahmin for you. Sensible job to have. And if you give her supplies, she can change their food to upgrade different stats on them, like how quickly they move when they're hurried, how much health they've got, stuff like that. And that system is bad. It's a good idea, but it's bad. And the reason I know that it's bad, really just making it not objective at all, the reason is that I, in my spare time, make TTRPGs, tabletop role-playing games. And I started work on a caravan-based one, because I really love caravans. And I came up with a fairly simple system, where you have 3 upgrades: armour, speed, and capacity. Each of them gets a ranking out of 5, from 0, which is no upgrades whatsoever, to 5, which is fully upgraded. And for any caravan, the maximum amount of points you can spend on it is 10. So that way you have to make some compromises. You can't just have maximum armour, maximum speed, maximum capacity. You could have maximum speed and capacity, which I imagine plenty of people will want to, which means you can get your routes done really quickly, and you can carry a bunch of stuff, which means better rewards at the end, but you've got no armour. So your Brahmin's running just fully stocked up but with no protection, so it's much easier for them to go down and for the mission to fail. But with 5 out of 5 speed, it would only take a maximum of maybe 2 minutes to run the route, and you'd have a ton of capacity, so it's very risk-reward. Or if you wanted to play things a lot safer, you could go minimum on speed and max on armour and capacity. So your Brahmin has a ton of health, they've got tons of supplies, but maybe it takes a maximum of like 10 minutes to get the route done. It's going to be a fair bit slower, but you're pretty much guaranteed to get through, because your Brahmin's a tank. Or you could have a bit of a mix of all 3, maybe like 3 points into armour, 4 points into speed, 3 into capacity, 2 into capacity, something like that. Just something to mix it up a little bit and make it so that you can customise your caravan a little bit. Because right now in terms of customization, you can name your Brahmin. That's basically it. And obviously with these 3 systems as well, I'd want some visual representation of that. If you've got max capacity, then your Brahmin is really loaded down and that's obvious. If you've got max speed, maybe it's a very strong looking and fast looking Brahmin who's taking it. And armour plates. Literally make your Brahmin armour plated. I'm picturing right now the armoured balls from Dark Souls 1. Just basically have that. It would be great. I wouldn't want all these upgrades to be unlocked right away. I'd want it to be a case of you have to upgrade the base and kind of run caravans and do the standard progression thing in order to unlock each tier. So you can only get 1 armour at the start, but then after doing like a little quest or helping out the NPCs and hiring enough people, then you can go up to 2, and so on. This is actually pretty similar to what we already do have in place, but right now you get like 1 quest for each NPC. Not even for each NPC, for like a couple of the NPCs, and that's it. Then it's just like, yep, you're done, and the rest of it is just spend supplies, which is boring. Those are all the changes I have for active caravans, but something I'd also want to add in are passive caravans. My main inspiration from these comes from Total War Warhammer 3, one of my favourite games of all time, and specifically from the Cafe faction, who have access to a feature called the Ivory Road. From here you can hire caravan masters, who then do routes across the map to a different location to deliver supplies, and they get gold in return. You can see there's a lot of similarities here already. These caravans aren't ones you need to go along with yourself as the player, they just, after you've sent them off, will be on their way. However, as they're travelling, which takes a certain number of turns, they will occasionally encounter events which you'll need to deal with. And I just want to take that same sort of system and mould it and switch it around a little bit so that it could apply to 76. So first off, I'd have it so passive caravans make you caps very, very slowly, but even while you're away and offline. This means if you take like a weekend off and you come back, hey, your caravan's made like 500 caps while you were away. Great news. The problem is you would have to first hire them and the crew, so there's an upfront cost in caps, but then they pay off over time. You could also potentially have some different routes and stuff, but I'm not going to get too bogged down in the weeds there. I'd want these caravans to also have dilemmas that occur, much like the events in Total War Warhammer 3, and you'd need to go back to Milepost 0 to interact and offer help. So basically there'd be, oh no, your caravan's been held up by something, come back to base and we'll sort it out. You get back to base and there's like a radio station set up, where you have to interact just through the dialogue system and be like, oh no, we're being stopped by raiders, they're demanding payment. And you can then make a decision on what should be done. Should they pay off? Should they fight back? Should they do some other weird thing which you could potentially unlock an option for? And the main way to unlock options, as well as like special for your own character, would be the crew you hire for the caravan. I'd want each of them to have different traits they come with, and you have to hire like a certain number of crew to get the caravan started, and different traits give you different options for your dilemmas. This would also make it so that you can bring back old traits from previous Fallout games and kind of add them into 76. I've got a few examples just to make it a little clearer. I hope people are following me on this. I'm very excited about it, even though it's not going to happen. So first up, Wild Wasteland, everyone's favourite trait from New Vegas. If you have a crew member like a guard or a caravan driver who's on that caravan and they get stopped, then they'll have like weird solutions that they can do. You can go like, I'll leave it to Abel. Abel's got Wild Wasteland and he's able to do like this really weird thing. Like, say raiders stop and he's like, oh, Abel has a frag grenade, a floater grenade, and a mongrel. He'll just tie them all together and it will distract the raiders. Just something super weird and wacky, and it gives you another option that way. What about Built to Destroy? That's another trait, and this one could be one where you use violence to solve the problem. Like, say you've got a character called Carter who's also a guard, and they're a really violent person, they come with the Built to Destroy trait, and you can just be like, let Carter deal with the ambush up ahead, and they'll wipe out the ambush, but you lose some cargo in the process, which means you're getting less reward as things go by. How about Good-Natured? That's one I always like to take in New Vegas, and this is one where you can just be like, oh hey, we've got a diplomat on side. Have our good-natured caravan driver head over to them, chat with the people, and we'll get out of it that way. I think it'd be a really interesting thing to do, and passive caravans could definitely work in a game like this, where we already have timers on so many things. It's just another way to make the caravan system more interesting. Overall, there's just like so many things that could be done, and as I was starting to type up some notes of this, I was like, oh god, I have more and more and more ideas. I just really hope the caravans aren't left as they are right now, because they're just boring. Even as someone who likes running caravans, I'm like, this is just, there's not much to it, and I want there to be more, because caravans are one of my favourite parts of Fallout. But what would you like to see? Are there any changes to caravans that you particularly want to be added into the game? Feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'd love to have a conversation about it all. If you've enjoyed this video, do leave a like, feel free to subscribe for more Fallout 76 content, and as always, thanks for watching. Sarge out.